Hey guys, it's Kelly. I am back with another process video. This layout is for the Scrap the Challenge series that I am doing with Mari Clark, and today's challenge for us is to scrap lift ourselves using the stash kit. So I had pulled out some of the papers from my stash kit that I knew would work well with this photo. This photo is of a dear friend of mine, and I knew this kit would be great with this photo for a few reasons. Number one, the colors of some of the papers that I had pulled would work well with the photo. And number two, we're both pretty girly, and some of the tones of this kit were definitely girly, so it just makes for an easy page to put together when you know what you're working with fits the photo and the personality of the photo. So you will see that I kind of veer off to the left-hand part of the screen several times during this video, and what I'm doing is trying to pull up the layout that I showed at the beginning, the Hello Juliet layout, and I'm referring back to it because it's the layout that I'm lifting, and I'm trying to keep it fairly close, and I think the end result is pretty close to the original. There are a few things here and there, that are different, but for the most part, it's fairly close. So I'm just taking some of these pattern papers and just cutting random strips, like with that one, that word paper, I just eyeballed and just, was going to see what I thought looked right and balanced with this. I end up not using that word strip though. And I knew right away that I wanted to use this butterfly paper, and I looked between the top and the bottom of the paper knowing that I wanted to cut off 2 rows, and the bottom butterflies were more of the colors that I wanted than the top butterflies, so that is the reason why I cut the branding strip and went from the bottom up. I usually try to go from the top up and leave the branding strip attached to the paper, but this way I like the colors a little bit better. I knew which ones would show, and I definitely wanted to pull those colors out. So again, I'm just looking for reference of the layout, and I decided that I love this wood grain so much that I wanted to back it behind the photo as well. And I had initially cut a thin strip of the wood grain and was going to put it on top to have 2 layers, but I really felt like the wood grain was too heavy for the top and it was weighing the page down. And sometimes I feel like you can put dark colors above and it works well, but for this layout I just really didn't like it. And some things you just don't know that whether or not you're going to like it until you actually visualize it. So at this point, this is when I realized, the paper with the words is not going to work. I really like the butterflies and that wood grain, and I'm going to stick closer to the layout that I'm lifting, and I'm just going to leave the 1 strip up at the top. And I'm just adhering that glassine bag. It was a little bit too long, and I folded it over itself and went ahead and put some adhesive down just so that it wouldn't keep popping open. At this point, I wasn't quite ready to start adhering my layers. I wasn't sure what else I wanted to add to it, so I like to have a general idea of where I'm going with my layers before I start adhering them down, because it never fails. If I adhere them too early, I'm having to rip them all up. And the ATG tape is not always so forgiving, and I've ripped backgrounds of paper before, so I was just trying to make sure before I did anything. So the wood grain paper just begged to be roughed up around the edges. I like to take cues from the patterns that I'm using, and I just thought that I would add a nice little texture dimension to the layout. These are the little things that I think make a huge difference, but you don't necessarily notice them right away. And I'm just using my scissors to run along the edge. I do have a distress tool that I like to use as well, but the scissors for this one gives a rougher appearance, and that was what I wanted with the wood grain paper. So I'm just using the bottom of my cardstock and the sides of my cardstock to line up my layers. I do like to make sure that my layers are straight. I try not to be too obsessive about it, and I've just found that that really works well for me. The Little Things die cut is from the Notes and Things Project Life card set that I had pulled for this stash kit. The Project Life card set came with a smaller number of the cards and some ephemera, and I love that setup for the Project Life cards. I don't do Project Life, but I love some of the cards and I love to cut them apart for labels or for phrases, and the Notes and Things set is the best one hands down that I've bought, just because of the ephemera that was included with it. So I've pretty much decided that if I'm going to buy a Project Life card, it needs to have the ephemera with it as well. Well, not a Project Life card, the set, that it needs to have the ephemera to make it worth my while and the money spent. So at this point, I'm really liking the way that the layout is starting to shape up, and I wanted to go ahead and get a few things adhered. That peach and gold doily is also from that set, and it just works well with the papers. Not all of the papers are from Notes and Things in my kit. I do have some 6x6 papers, and I went ahead and pulled the stickers and cardstock, not cardstock, chipboard elements that went with it. Just because, you know, if you're going to have a couple of papers of that one collection, why not throw in things that you know right away will go together? And for me, I find that crate collections work well together regardless of who the designer is. And you know, whether it's their printing company or just their colors, they just seem to work well. So for me, if I am going to make a page with things from my stash, I find it easier just to pull things from the same manufacturer, not necessarily the same collection though. So I'm sorry some of this is off screen. I am at a crop with a friend, so it's kind of hard, you know, when you're trying to figure out your space. You know, it's a little bit different than my setup at home. So I'm just trying to be mindful of, you know, where my things are, you know, so I'm not encroaching on someone else's space, and trying to make sure that what I'm doing can be seen. So I did find one little chipboard phrase that worked well, and that was it from that chipboard sheet. So I decided just to put that in that lower right-hand cluster. And this was some ribbon that I won as a door prize, and it's close to my heart ribbon. And I happened to look, and they had the beautiful peach color that was in. So I decided to go ahead and make a bow with my tag. And I find that tying the bows upside down for me makes a prettier bow. And again, I'm sorry some of this is off screen, but what I am doing is I tighten the bow and then I pull down the, I don't know, the legs of the bow. I don't know what that's called. So what I do is I'll tighten it, and then I'll try to make the legs a little bit longer until the bow up top is fluffier, and I get it just so, and then I will cut the, you know, bottom parts of the bow to make it look, you know, like it's balanced and, you know, fluffy and cute. And that sheer ribbon is just one of my favorites. So I decided that I wanted to add more texture to the background, but one of the things that I like doing is just adding white modeling paste. And I felt like this Teresa Collins stencil would be the perfect addition. It's lacy, kind of feminine. I'm not quite sure what the name of it is, but I just love the way that it came out. And what I try to do is make sure that I don't have a straight line of modeling paste when I am, applying it. That Teresa Collins stencil is beautiful, but it's not very sturdy. So if you have them, or you're looking into buying them, you do have to treat it a little bit more gently than, say, like a stencil from Dina Wakley or Prima, or any of the other main companies that carry stencils. It's a little bit disappointing how fragile it really is. So at this point, I'm getting pretty close to the end. I do come up with a title. It's not really an original title. It's just going to be My Sweet Friend. And I do cut some of this out because for whatever reason at this crop, it takes me forever and a day to glue down the title. So I spared everyone the pain of watching me glue it down. I did decide to use these thickers that are beautiful. They're a cream color with the gold in the center, and I just adore these, and I have these in black as well. And I just think that it's just a nice, fancier type of alpha, but it still has that very versatile font that I love. And I decided to put the My Sweet from these alphas that I had included in the kit as well, and these were from Prima, and I had bought these at Tuesday Morning. So that's pretty much it. I do add some finishing touches when I get home, and what I do when I get home is I sew a few spots with gold metallic thread, and I just love that gold metallic thread. I don't use it often, but when I use it, I just always think to myself, I need to do this more. I felt like the gold metallic thread worked well to bring out the gold in the letter stickers of Friend, and also the gold accents that were in the Notes and Things ephemera pieces that were around the layout. And as a final addition, I add some enamel dots as well. So that's pretty much it. I do have close-ups at the end. I have several close-ups so you can see all of the layers and the sewing, and I just love the way that it turned out. And for me, what is even better is I lifted myself, and I can put these two layouts in the same album, and I don't think anybody will be able to tell that it's pretty much the same design because the colors are different, the photo is different, and while it has the same design principles, I think they look totally different. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me today. Be sure to check out Mari's video as well. I will have the link in the details below. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.